Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. So a little bit about me. My name's Tina, and I have been a nutritionist for 2 decades, and I host a huge range of workplace wellness initiatives. I work with companies like JP Morgan, the Premier League, with Google, and many, many more. And you can book me via the Hometainment team. I'm the author of a couple of best-selling books. This is my latest book out, and this was trending on Amazon for 30 weeks as a bestseller. So it's all the things I'm going to be talking about today in easy bite-sized hacks for your wellness. When I'm not doing this, I run wonderful retreats around the world, and also I'm a clinician. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight in. Now, this is the shortest sort of whistle-stop overview of some of these really interesting points that really can impact our health each and every day and really elevate how we feel, boosting our immunity, our energy, our well-being. I'm hugely focused on longevity and sort of work with lots of CEOs in order to optimize their cognition and focus and mental health and all of these things. So we're going to really cover a lot of these topics today, but this is, as I say, a sort of whistle-stop overview. If you would like to learn more, as I say, you can get more information in the book, but also book one of these workshops for your workplace. So I'm going to share my PowerPoints with you. So for every talk, by the way, that I do, I actually you receive PDFs and handouts of all of these topics. So what are we going to cover today? Very briefly, gut health, food and mood, and how it impacts every aspect of our health. We'll touch on why nutrient deficiencies are so incredibly prevalent in the UK, and I test in my clinic every day. And then the last point there was stress reliance, which we're going to cover if we have time. So I'm conscious we've just got 30 minutes. Talks are usually anywhere between 30, 40, 45 minutes to an hour. We do breakfast webinars, we do lunch and learns, we do cookery demonstrations, we do full-on workshops. We also offer where I come out to your off-sites and your events, hosting well-being days. All manner of well-being topics are covered. So, you can always contact us and we can provide all the information for that. So without further ado, we have more information now than we've ever had before. The science shows us that we really are what we eat. And when we start eating more of the stuff that our bodies are designed to eat, we feel better in every way. And the reason why I'm so incredibly passionate about what I do is because I see in my clinic, and have done for over 2 decades, people's health transformed in just 7 days. And you have to believe me on that, because when we start putting the right food into our bodies respond appropriately. Now, this probably sounds crazy, but if you think about your car, if you have a beautiful Ferrari, you'll know exactly what to feed, what fuel that car needs, what oil that needs, and how to look after it. You get the handbook, but we don't get that with our bodies. Now, when we think about our pets, again, we know what those foods will make them ill, and we can see when they look lackluster and lethargic and their coats aren't great and all of these kind of things, that it's their food that's causing that. For many of us, we are disassociated with the fact that actually food is the key to our well-being, and it can impact our mental health, our alertness, our focus, our energy, our memory, reducing our stress, improve our sleep. It can really lead to a healthy weight very quickly without any GLP injections, and even our hormones. So you have to trust me on all of this. So what are we going to look at today? Well, we're going to look at this important word we hear a lot about, the microbiome. So for those of you that aren't aware of it, although I'm sure many of you are, on us and in us, on average, we have 100 trillion microbes. Now, these microbes are fundamental to every aspect of our health, and we have a couple of kilos of them in our gut. And what do they help with? Well, just about everything. Now, if I were to tell you that all of our happy hormones are made in our gut microbes, well, at least 90 to 95% of serotonin is, serotonin being our happy hormone, but also our gut microbes are linked to the production of melatonin and our sleep hormones. They are also really fundamental in producing things like anxiety trigger neurotransmitters. And if we have the wrong level of gut microbes, and we have these sort of nasty microbes, that can actually set up a cascade of inflammation through our bodies, driving low mood, depression, skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis, rashes, acne, also gut health issues, sleep problems, also our metabolism. So we know that these gut microbes are really fundamental to our health. Now, the great news is there is so much we can do to actually improve the health of our gut microbes. And this we're going to cover shortly. We have the joy of my cat joining us. That's not normally the case. But okay, so what have we got here? This is called the Garden of Earthly Delights. And I feel this is a really great analogy for us to see. So what you have here in the middle is ideally a really healthy gut microbes. Now, this includes lots of different kind of microbes, bacteria, fungi. You'll see this wonderful diversity. And if we think about something like an RHS Wisley kind of a garden, just full of flora and fauna. And here on the left-hand side, this is far more sparse and less diversity. And over here on the right-hand side, this is really where we have this overgrowth of the nasty stuff, and it's created havoc, and it also creates havoc in our bodies. And this, I feel, is a great analogy because we really want to optimize these gut microbes and stay in the central lane here. Very many people have insufficient levels of good bacteria, and a lot of people have got the nasty microbes triggering anxiety, low mood, low energy, poor digestion, skin problems, you name it. So why is this happening? Well, when we look at our Western diet, our typical kind of diet that we have in the UK, you'll notice on the left-hand side here, the high-fat diet, the typical kind of diet we're eating, even those Marks and Spencer's ready meals, that packet of crisps and a beer on a Friday night. You see that it actually, when we go down the line here, it changes these gut microbes in the middle, and we can actually create inflammation in the body. Now, there's lots of studies that show that when we create inflammation, we actually increase our risk of depression and so many health issues. And when we look at the right-hand side, and you've got the high fiber diet here, a much more natural, a Mediterranean style, real food diet, and you look down the line at the bottom, you see this is anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety, because we actually, this is the sort of diet that we're really designed to eat. And when we look here a bit more closely, people want to really understand. So there's been phenomenal studies which show that actually there's the Healthy Med study, the SMILE study, where they took people with significant levels of depression, and they put them on a Mediterranean diet, and they found that 42% of those had a complete sort of turnaround and improvement in their low moods just by eating the diets that their bodies are designed to eat. Why? Because they're packed with all the vitamins, minerals, polyphenols, all the things that our gut microbes need to make that serotonin and improve our mood. Whereas they found that people eating this Western style diet, high animal-based proteins, created this inflammation, and this created all manner of diseases and inflammation through the body. So how do we actually look after our gut? Now, excuse the typo there, but I found it really challenging to find a really good English picture with fiber on. But for most of us, and it's estimated about 70% of us aren't getting sufficient fiber. And fiber comes from all these wonderful plant foods. We don't find any fiber in protein, for example, fish and meat and eggs. That's not fibrous. It only really comes from plants. Now, the other thing is our gut microbes love diversity. They love these colors. So when we see the colors in plants, when you go to a farmer's market, for example, you've got every color of the rainbow there, from the greens to the oranges, the purples, etc. All of these wonderful, colorful foods are called polyphenols, antioxidants, and these really are fundamental to the health of our immunity, our mental health, our gut health, and so forth. So we really need to be plant focused. And when we aim to have lots of variety, and for me, that's just by ordering a sort of diverse veggie box, from a sort of organic, ideally. So we're cutting out the pesticides and we haven't got those chemicals, because you get that seasonal diversity. You are really improving your health instantly by eating in this way. Now, there's these other foods called probiotic foods that I'm sure you've heard of. I like to include things like a shot of kefir in my daily smoothie. It may be some live Greek yogurt. It may be some kimchi. Or could I ask everybody to turn their sounds off? I wonder if we can ask everybody to turn their sounds off, please. I think it's Sandra here. Let's see if we can. Sandra, yeah. Okay. So we have these wonderful probiotic foods. Now, these have got the bacteria in that our bodies need to thrive. And then we have prebiotic foods, things like green bananas, garlic, onions, berries. These all, again, really nurture and feed our gut. So ideally, having some of these every day. Now, I'm including this wonderful smoothie here because I think for so many people, it's the easiest hack to health, because we can bung so many things into a blender, some frozen green leafy veg, some frozen berries, add a little bit of banana, perhaps you add some chia seeds or some hemp seeds or a little bit of nut butter, some yogurt, and you can have a huge diversity. Now, the good news is also just by adding herbs, and these can be dried herbs, these can be dried spices, we can really improve our gut microbes. So these are easy hacks to help. Now, I'm also including here because for many people, for many of us, we are just not getting sufficient sleep. And sleep is a huge part of when our body does a huge amount of healing and repair. And so actually, Beverly, would you mind turning off your sound, please? Thank you. I can't seem to, let me just see if I can turn everybody's sound off. Can't seem to sound, no, because I'm not the host, so I can't turn
I've done it, Tina.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so let's just go back there. Okay, so when we're looking at the gut and sleep, we can do a whole session just on this. So for example, I've got one coming up with JP Morgan shortly, and that's all about sleep and mental health. So there's this really interesting sort of chicken and egg. Do people have anxiety and mental health issues due to their lack of sleep, or is it the anxiety and mental health issues that cause sleep problems? But for many of us, we know that if we have high levels of anxiety, we do generally have less good quality sleep. So improving the gut microbes is really helpful as well. And as I say, we could do a whole topic just on that, but we are just sort of doing an overview today. So what I really like to sort of sum up here is this human being diet. So this is what our bodies are actually designed to eat. And for many of us, when we eat these sort of processed and ultra processed food, which is estimated to be about 60% of our diet now, whether it's those breakfast cereals, our snack bars, whether it's our drinks, whether it's a, ready meal takeouts, these kind of foods that create this inflammation. Whereas these much more simple way of eating, farm to fork kind of eating. And I love these diversity bowls where no one has to cook. I regularly do cookery demonstrations of these in people's workplaces, by the way. I do bliss balls, superfood smoothies, these fantastic Buddha bowls where nobody needs to be able to cook. This is about assembling, and it's about how we can get great diversity. And we make these wonderful salad dressings with just a sort of jam jar and some super extra virgin olive oil, so apple cider vinegar, a little bit of mustard and honey, and we can create all these lovely salad dressings for you as well. So this is the idea, is by including some of these meals a few times a week, we can just naturally increase our diversity with no stress at all. So to summarize, when we're really looking at improving the health of our gut microbes, we need to be looking at and overall health, because increasing our lean protein intake, so ideally 30 grams a day, 30 grams at the start of the day when we front load our day, and we have that for breakfast. Oh, apologies here. I have to tell you, going on in the background, I have my naughty cat who's terrorizing me. I should have closed the door before I came on today. So aiming for more fiber in our diets, having high levels of antioxidants, these lovely plant colors. They actually protect plants from disease, but they protect us from disease. Aiming for this vast range, something like 30 a week, including the herbs, the spices, including fermented foods every day if possible, as long as your gut allows. Now, for many people, they have to start slowly. Hydration, that's really fundamental. So many people come to see me in clinic, they've got headaches, they're tired, they're lethargic, and they're simply, or they've got constipation, they've simply not hydrated well enough. Now, just something as simple as eating in a 10 to 12 hour window can really improve the health of our gut microbes, because it's only when we're not eating that the gut microbes are able to proliferate and repair the gut. So making sure that you really do shut the kitchen as such at, after dinner. And so you allow this regeneration of the gut microbes through the night. And just by doing this alone, you can help you upgrade your sleep. So we do have a little bit of time just to cover this next topic, which is nutrition deficiencies. Now, who would believe in our Western world, in the UK, we have an abundance of calories. We have so much food available to us everywhere, but so many people have nutrient deficiencies. And this is the National Dietary Survey, our nutrition survey, that shows us the latest stats. Now, I'm just showing you women, we have all the men's stats as well. So just look at something like omega-3 fats. 77% of women in the UK have an omega-3 deficiency. Why do we need to know this, and why is this important? Well, if we look at the dry weight of our brain, 30% of the dry weight of our brain is made up of omega-3 fats. These fats are fundamental to cognition, behavior, calming our nervous system, focus, cognition, and just about every aspect of our mental health. Now, every single cell membrane in the body, and we have hundreds of thousands, trillions of cells, these are actually surrounded by this omega-3 fatty membrane. Now, if you haven't got good levels of omega-3 fats, some of the signs and symptoms will be dandruff, dry skin, cracked heels. I've never had cracked heels. And every time I go for a pedicure, they can't believe it. It's because I have good levels of omega-3, really optimum levels. And if you've got eczema, these all are signs, or psoriasis, even acne, or even excessive earwax. These are all signs that your body needs more omega-3 fats. So in countries where they eat a lot of these wonderful omega-3 fats, you see they have lower levels of depression and improved health generally. But look at these others. 67% of women have low levels of fiber, meaning they're not able to make those happy hormones in the gut. They're not going to have good levels of digestion, because all of these gut microbes help us absorb nutrients from our food as well. Selenium is fundamental to our immunity and the health of our thyroid. Now, the thyroid is the most important gland for our energy, mental health, metabolism, and even our hair. So you can see how prevalent they are. So I've just sort of run through here. In fact, my first two chapters of my book is all about our levels of nutrient deficiencies in the UK and the signs and symptoms, because our bodies are constantly throwing out signs and symptoms of nutrient deficiencies, but many of us aren't aware of them. We're not even told them, but I've run through some of those with the omega-3, but something like an iron deficiency. Now, lots of people are cutting out dairy. Now, iodine comes from dairy predominantly in our diets. Unless you are vegan and vegetarian and you take supplements or you eat lots of sort of seaweed, very often we're not getting iodine unless we're getting it from dairy. But we see tiredness, muscle weakness, breast cysts, sudden explained weight gain, hair loss, feeling cold, this sluggish kind of thyroid. Vitamin D deficiency. Vitamin D really is one of the most powerful vitamins. It shouldn't even be called a hormone, really, because it really impacts our immunity, our bone health, gum problems, muscle pain, and really can prevent things like breast cancers. We've got amazing studies on that. So for women that have had breast cancer, if they have low levels of vitamin D, they're much more likely to get breast cancer again. Calcium, again, so many people not having any dairy, great sources of calcium. There are many other sources of calcium, but we see insomnia, we see high levels of PMT, and obviously we see bone degeneration. So many red flags, so really interesting. So really, we know because of studies that this Western eating pattern that so many of us are having, I should say at this point, I'm a really balanced nutritionist, so I never tell anyone not to eat anything. And I love pizza, chocolate cake, and red wine too. But it's really about that balance. And really having, for me, I have a sort of tip chart. How am I nourishing myself each day? And then there's plenty of room for treats. You know, it's all about that 80-20, sometimes that's 70-30. And then if you're on holiday, it may be no rules at all, but it's about prioritizing. So for me, I have a really busy life. I travel all around the world doing what I do. And so therefore, I need to fuel myself, my body, my brain, my immunity, so that I look and feel great Monday to Friday. Now, I can be a lot more relaxed at the weekends, but that's about balance. But let's have a look at some of these stress inducers. So not only have we mentioned the nutrient deficiencies, we've also included how our poor gut microbes create inflammation and create stress in the body from processed foods. High levels of sugar. So many of us are getting way higher levels of sugar than our bodies are actually able to cope with, which is why we're seeing so many people being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. If you've ever used a continuous glucose monitor, that's a really easy hack to be able to keep on top of your blood sugar levels and create a much healthier blood sugar balance and prevent many diseases. Lack of sleep, so prioritizing sleep is so important. Caffeine, now caffeine is so interesting. If any of you have done your genetic profile, you'll know whether you're a fast or slow caffeine metabolizer, whether or not caffeine is actually positive for you or actually can be detrimental and cause anxiety, palpitations, insomnia, or all of these things. And then I do a whole talk just around science-backed insights and alcohol, with an alcohol-free wine tasting and beer and spirit tasting. That's always great fun. And so many offices will have me come in, do a live talk, but then they film it and then they stream it around the world to the other offices or other companies. For example, Trustpilot, I may do one of these webinars, but these are then in 15 different countries all at the same time. So there's lots of ways to host these events depending on your workplace's needs. But yeah, we could go on, but I think it's probably a good idea to stop there and back with you and You can follow me on Instagram. I do put lots of my recipes on there, so follow me at the Nutrition Guru. If you want more information about our talks and programs, you contact the Hometainment team, and all of my tips are in here. As I mentioned, everything from digestion, gut health, skin health, sleep, anxiety. You can grab that on Amazon. And I wanted to just ask if we can take some questions, so you can unmute yourselves or just add them to the chat now. We've got just a few minutes left. Any questions? Did anyone find that useful? And who would feel that this would be a great idea to host in your workplace? As I say, we have huge range and diversity of talks. Everything from women's health, men's health, mental health week, depending on the month of the year. You know, we offer all sorts of wellness challenges, from hydration weeks and stress resilience talks, all of these kind of things. We also offer one-to-one health consultations, which are mini consultations. So for many people, we just did this with the Premier League, where we went in for 2 days. We can do it on webinar as well. So you book your executives and your team in for just 20 minutes, and we go through with them their top 3 wellness and health goals. Now, that could be, for many, it could be they want to focus on weight, they want to focus on sleep, it may be fertility, it may be energy, it may be digestion, it may be skin health, whatever it is that they're really wanting to focus on. Now, that is hugely popular, because people really feel that they get a little personalized investment. And companies, generally, the feedback is these talks give you so much bang for your buck. So if you think about the initial outlay, the return is approximately 5 times that, in reduced sick leave, improved energy for the team, improved mental health for the team, improved general well-being. But not only that, the staff feel really invested in, cared for, nurtured, and especially when we include all these cookery demonstrations, this kind of thing. So yes, I love that question, Claire. People always ask, how are we going to actually manage any of this? That's the whole point of my talk. So I've just given you a little whistle stop here around some of the topics, but actually the whole point is I come in and do the easy hacks to health, and how you are going to be able to do that. Now, that includes menu planning, recipes, the simplest solutions in bulk cooking and shopping, and all of these kind of things. So yeah, get booking, and we can come in and help your whole team optimize their health and get you all feeling fantastic, in the best shape, and feeling amazing for 2025. Lovely, wonderful, good to hear, Roxy, and lovely, Pollyanna. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Yeah, so Claire, just to mention, in my book, at the back of my book, I've got lots of simple recipes. I haven't got time for big, long cook-offs. So everything that I do is really simplified. And you've got recipes, and you've got menu plans, and all of this kind of thing. So, but yeah, when you book in, you actually get the free PDFs of all of my top hacks and whatever it is. So what you can do is, if you want to contact your team there or Hometainment, they can send you an information pack of all of the topics I cover, and we can always schedule in a quick intro chat so I can tell you a little bit more, and you can tell me how I might be able to support your team as well. Okay, all right, I'm conscious of time there. So thank you again for your time, and I very much look forward to meeting you, and thank you again for hosting, and we look forward to meeting you in person sometime. Take care, bye-bye.